Hi everyone, it's Amy here from the blog I Think Therefore I Teach. Today's video I'm going to go the top 5 areas that have come out of the examiner's comments and the examiner's feedback from last year's exams. So the first thing that they have mentioned is about students writing introductions that are far too long. You need to keep your introductions shorter. Your introduction should be engaging with the question, but you should also start to either talk critically or you should start to assert the argument that you are going to present, what your line of reasoning is going to be. Are you going to go for or against the question that has been asked? So that's what examiners really want from the outset, is your line of argument to be clear. This line of argument is then continued throughout your essay. So every paragraph is going for and emphasising that line of argument that you want to make, and what you're doing is you're using the names and the arguments for or against the argument that you're trying to present, and that will establish that evaluative tone as well that examiners are looking for. The second thing the examiners have mentioned is how students are still not evaluating enough. They have made it clear that comparisons, such as comparing Plato with Aristotle, is not evaluation. You are just comparing one thing with another. You are just asserting the views of one person versus the views of another person. That is not evaluation. You have to say which view is therefore better through the justification and the judgment that you make. Second of all, using statements like although, however, on the other hand, is not evaluation either. They're just establishing your essay structure. They are not evaluating. Just by putting on the other hand and posing another argument, you're just posing someone else's argument. You are not actually evaluating anything. Thirdly, with your evaluation, just bringing in somebody that brings a negative or critical point. So bringing in Dawkins, for example, is not evaluation. Bringing in the criticisms from Hume is not evaluation. You're just asserting the views of somebody else and they just happen to be critical. What you have to do is you have to say whether they work or do not work, they're useful or not, they're credible or not. That is then when the evaluation comes in. The third thing that examiners have mentioned is how students must use the exact wording in the question. You have to engage with the question. You have to explore the words. Do not ignore any word in the question at all. So I've recently set a question for my second years, something along the lines of critically assess the view that Christianity is inherently sexist. The word for me that stands out in that question is the word inherently. What does inherently mean? Who's making that judgment on whether it is inherently sexist? Does that mean Christianity can never move away from it? Does that mean it always will be sexist? And so that word for me is what will distinguish the higher grades from the lower grades, because that word doesn't have to be in the question. The question would still make sense without that word in. So why is that word in the question? That word is there because the examiners want you to explore it. The fourth thing examiners have mentioned is how they like synoptic links. Synoptic links is something you can only do in your second year and are very, very difficult. This is where you draw a holistic view across the different arguments. This is where you draw upon another topic in a current topic that you're writing about. So, for example, I read a very, very good one from last year's exam that was talking about liberation theology, and they linked it to the person of Christ topic and how Jesus could have been seen as a campaigner for liberation, or was he just a rebel of society? That synoptic link to a previous topic was excellent, and that's what examiners want to see. You do not have to do many of them though. You're looking at maybe a couple, maybe 3 in one essay. You do not have to make a lot. Make sure it's relevant to the question, make sure it's relevant to your argument, and make sure you do not go down one massive tangent. You need to keep it very clear as to how you're making the link, what it's doing for your argument, then move on and continue your argument down something else. The fifth and final point is just accepting views without any question. So, for example, just accepting the Big Bang and what the Big Bang says, accepting evolution and what it says, accepting Dawkins and what he says. Why? Why are you accepting what Dawkins' view is saying? Why is the Big Bang just unquestionable? Why is it that the Big Bang does not need to be evaluated? Why are you accepting the arguments from evolution and natural selection? So evaluate and question everything. The more you question, the more you evaluate, the more you analyse and make judgments, the better you will do in your exam. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope you found this useful. Don't forget, you can always write a comment underneath and ask any questions that you have. Otherwise, check out the blog and you can always email me from there. Other than that, have a wonderful Christmas, everyone. Thanks very much. Bye.